Wuthering Waves has just been released and so far I am enjoying the game, but it's inevitable that people are going to compare which gacha game is better, Wuthering Waves or Genshin Impact. Hi, this is Earlbedo. In this video, we are gonna compare the two games by giving a point every category they are good at, which are the following. First is the story, including the animation and cutscenes, as well as character design. Next is the voice acting and music. More importantly, the combat and gameplay experience. Of course, we are gonna talk about which is better in terms of wishing and pulling. Lastly, let me give you my thoughts on the overall experience for both the games. Wuthering Waves is relatively a new game, so I will try my best to judge both of them objectively and give consideration to Wuthering Waves. By objective, what I mean is when I say I like the music, that is objective. But when I acknowledge that the music is good regardless of whether I think I like it or not, that is objective. Also, comparing these two games doesn't mean that you have to hate the other or one is superior than the other. This video is created so you can have a grasp of their differences and decide whether playing one or the other is worth your time. So make sure to stick around until the end. Just a quick background, I have been playing Genshin Impact for 2.5 years now. I have been on AR60 for a while now. The things I like in Genshin Impact are mainly the well-written stories and lore, the mechanics of the elements and reactions, obviously the graphics, and lastly the voice acting. But there is one thing I keep looking for, which is a great combat system and experience. I tried playing and reviewing other games before like Tower of Fantasy, but it's not at par with what Genshin already do well. Let's see if Wuthering Waves can reach this standard. Let's first talk about the story. Genshin Impact has been out for a while now and it gave us some of the best cutscenes we've seen, especially in the Arcane quests. It's no doubt that Genshin has a well-written storyline. I cannot say the same for Wuthering Waves yet since it's just started. Furthermore, Genshin Impact had a better way of introducing new concepts to the player in their scripts. It was more subtle and easier to understand and the context clues are good. For Wuthering Waves, I think I was bombarded with these new terms that were not really explained so well. People might say that you're just but let me just say that there are different types of learners and Genshin Impact was able to accommodate those and also deliver a more digestible way of explaining things. So the point for the storyline and lore goes to Genshin Impact for now. But although Wuthering Waves is fairly new, I can say that the animations and cutscenes are more dynamic. The characters in Wuthering Waves move more naturally and expresses better body language than in Genshin Impact. If you have been playing Genshin Impact before, although the cutscenes are good, doing dialogues during the quest is sometimes funny because they move like robots, especially the NPCs. It's so stiff sometimes. So the point goes to Wuthering Waves. For the character design, I think this is a little subjective, however I love both of their art styles. There are a few questionable design choices for both the games, but so far, I am liking what I am seeing. Genshin Impact has a more colorful, fun design, while Wuthering Waves has a more mature and anime vibe to it. It reminds me of the old MMORPGs I played when I was little, which I really love. Both of them gets a point this time. Let's talk about the voice acting. In Genshin Impact, it is top-notch. Listening to characters like Ito, the Raiden Shogun, and Zhongli, and a lot more is really music to my ears. Even in the early days of this game, the voice acting has been on point. The music is so good too. There are music that I don't like, but it is undeniably well made and produced since version 1. However, for Wuthering Waves, the voice acting, at least for the English version, is sometimes a hit or miss. I am really rooting for the VAs, it's just that I think there are times that they are not saying what they are dubbing because the expression of their voice, although great, does not fit the animation and cutscene, which ruins the experience for me. Because of that, the point goes to Genshin Impact. Now, for what I think is the most important part, the combat and gameplay experience. In Genshin Impact, they have elements which have different reactions. I really enjoy this and it makes the game interesting and more dynamic. However, the combat system is not the best. You will most likely do a skill or burst then let your reaction happen. Doing a normal attack is very repetitive and has no difficulty at all. Just take a look at Ayato. It might be a little boring and I think it could be better than that. The boss fights in Spiral Abyss is relatively too easy once you reach AR60 and also collected good characters. This part has been very repetitive and boring. I keep remembering the MMORPGs I played before where I had to invite a party of players and do hours of fighting and waiting just to defeat one boss. In Genshin Impact, you can finish a boss in less than a minute. There is no challenge at all. But this is what I like in Wuthering Waves. They have a better implementation of moves that makes the exploration more enjoyable. Like being able to dash after a jump while running, and also not exhausting your stamina while running. I think in a game, running should be the least of your concerns, like in Genshin Impact. Combat system and fighting experience is way better than Genshin Impact. Doing normal and heavy attacks are so satisfying. It doesn't feel repetitive at all. There are a lot of combos and movements you can do. Fighting enemies is more challenging too. Maybe it's because we are still at early levels, but still. Just take a look at how these characters move. Though Genshin Impact has a good reaction mechanics, I am giving the points to Wuthering Waves this time. As of now, the points are tied. Let's see who will take the lead by the end. Before we continue, if you are enjoying this video, please subscribe to my channel because I make Genshin Impact guides like this almost every week. Both of these games are gacha, so let's talk about the wishing experience. Generally, Genshin Impact is an okay wishing experience. It's not as bad as the other gachas, but it's not very F2P friendly too. What throws me off in Genshin Impact is the weapon banner. It's just so bad for F2Ps. I know you might say that this is their way of earning and funding the game. But let's be real, even if they remove the weapon banner, they will still earn millions. Wishing and Wuthering Waves on the other hand is more forgiving. This game has a lot of banners or what they call convenes, and generally the PT needed is less, which is 80 compared to Genshin, which is 90. Also, the weapon banner here is always guaranteed at 80, and Genshin Impact, you will need to go to hell to get a weapon you want. Nice, right? Wuthering Waves also seem to provide more astrides and tides, which are the wishing currencies, to beginners. It might be due to some of the issues encountered, but in Genshin Impact, even if the world ends, they will just give you 10 free pools. So obviously, Wuthering Waves gets the point. Wuthering Waves is now leading. We are in the last category. The first few hours of playing Wuthering Waves, at least on my PC, was terrible. There were a lot of lag issues as you can see here. Before that, launching the game took me 30 minutes. Sadly, I was not able to enjoy the story at all since there was a lot of lag, even at low settings. So I had to switch to mobile just to play the game. I know that Wuthering Waves is a new game, so it is not as optimized as Genshin Impact. But I did not recall Genshin Impact having this type of issues before. However, I hope in the future this gets fixed really soon since there were a lot of players that were affected. Good thing they gave well-deserved compensation. But after that experience, I was able to enjoy the game, especially the combat mechanics. The Genshin Impact on the other hand is more optimized and smooth to play. I think Genshin Impact has already set a standard so high that the competitors will surely need to exert a lot of effort to be at par. Looking back, I think I enjoyed playing Genshin Impact for the first time more than Wuthering Waves because of the great and well-written script and story, and they seem to already have a grasp of what they were doing even in the early versions of the game, and that translates to the player's experience. I still have to play and wait for updates in Wuthering Waves to see if they improve, although they're already good. That is why for now, I'll give the point to Genshin Impact. Wuthering Waves release was strong. I think the hype is well deserved if we set aside the lag and optimization issues. To be honest, it can rival Genshin Impact due to its great combat and gameplay experience, as long as they keep listening to the players' feedback to improve. They both have strengths and weaknesses, so I cannot compare them entirely. Personally, I am a fan of both the games. I will definitely not quit Genshin Impact, but will surely continue to play Wuthering Waves too. And as I mentioned, the purpose of this video is not to talk trash about the other game or tell who is more superior, but to let you know the differences of the game and for you to know which game fits you better. How about you? Which game do you like better? Comment below. Again, this is Earlbedo. See you next time.